You have an idea, a desire, a project, a goal, a resolution that you've wanted to take action on for such a long time. It's something that lights you up, it fills you up with excitement, and you think, yes, I'm finally gonna do the thing, I'm finally going to take action. But you always find yourself too busy to take action. You find your day filled with so many mindless tasks, and so you can't start it today. You decide, I'm gonna start tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be freer. But tomorrow arrives and you're still so busy. And so you decide, I'll start next week. New week, fresh start. We got this. We're gonna do it next week. But next week arrives and still you don't take action until you find the month has gone by and you decide, you know what, I'm going to start it on a new month, new me, I'm gonna do this, and you don't take action. And so you keep pushing it forward. It becomes a quarterly goal, then the next quarter's goal, until it goes back into your New Year's resolution. You just don't take action. And so, if this sounds like you, if you resonated with anything that I said, keep watching because I'm going to give you 7 steps on how to finally take action. But before we get into that, if you have a desire that's been in your heart for a while and you don't know if you are ready to start, you don't know if you should actually take action, I made a video on this, on why you should take the leap of faith, why you should finally take action, and it will be linked in the description box below so that you can check it out. And so without further ado, let's get into it. So if you find yourself constantly avoiding taking action, that means that there's a bit of resistance. There's a reason why you are being inhibited from taking action. And one thing that you really need to do is get clear on why exactly it is you are finding so much resistance to taking action. And the best thing for this is to journal. You need to get clear on exactly what it is that is plaguing your mind, that is creating so much resistance towards taking action. It could be perfectionism, it could be fear, it could be doubt, it could be so many things. And so by journaling, you get really clear on what is at the back of your mind so that this vague feeling of resistance becomes more solid. You need to figure out what is blocking you, whether it's limiting beliefs, if it's doubts, if it's worries, anxieties, perfectionism. You need to write them all down and see what surfaces. By doing this, you make your fears and your resistors visible, because you can't fight a battle if you don't know where it is. You can't fix a problem that you don't know of. When you make the unknown known, you strip it of its power, because now that it's knowable, it's doable. And because it's doable, you can take countermeasures, you can make fail safes, you can create security against whatever it is that is holding you back from taking action. One of the ways you can do this is by gaining knowledge. An example of this could be, let's say you want to start a business, but you don't know how to get clients, you don't know how to make a website. You go online, you gain the knowledge. There's so many YouTube videos, there's so many courses that can offer you the insight and the knowledge that you need to actually overcome this hurdle. And so by understanding what it is that is blocking you and taking action against that specific hurdle, you clear the path so that you're able to take action more confidently. Another thing can be creating a mental safety net. Some things are out of your control. And so you need to create a mental safety net for yourself so that in case this thing happens, you're still going to be okay. You still have something to hold on to. An example of this could be, let's say you are in a relationship and it's not the best relationship, you think that it could be better, and you know that you need to communicate this with your partner. But there's a chance that you communicate with your partner and they don't respond well and it leads to nothing. You need to have that mental safety net of, I am going to communicate with my partner about this. I am going to tell him how I feel and what I want. And if they refuse or they respond in a negative way, you have the mental safety net of knowing that they must not have been for me. Because your dream partner, your ideal partner, the person you're meant to be with, would not let you go through whatever it is that your current partner is letting you go through. And so once you have that mental safety net, that there's someone out there who is exactly for you, who is going to meet all of your needs, you're able to take action with more clarity and with more confidence. Step number 2 is to picture your ideal reality. If you do take action, what is the best case scenario? What is the best thing that could happen if there were no rules to life, if you had no limitations, if you allowed your mind to just wander and be free and boundless and limitless and explore the possibility of you taking action, everything works out? How would your life look like? If everything worked out perfectly, what would your life look like? What would the results look like? What emotions do you feel picturing that? Sit with that vision, and I want you to feel those emotions, the emotions that rise up when you think this is how that project could go right. 100%. Feel the emotions, meditate on it, linger there, hold on to it, let it fill up your heart. And then when you finally come out of that, you can write it down. You don't have to, but it's a good physical reminder of what you just experienced. So you can write it down, you can make an audio note, a video note, something that you can use to reconnect you with that vision of your ideal reality where everything worked out. And the longer that you stay in that reality, in that positive reality, the more the excitement will build up in you, the more the urge to act will build in you. And this is something you can always fall back on when you find that you're experiencing resistance. Just put yourself back into that mentality of, what if everything went out exactly the way I want it to? What if everything worked out? Picture your ideal reality. Step number 3, picture your worst case scenario. Now, one of the biggest reasons why we have so much resistance in taking action is because we have an idea in our head. Sometimes it's really vague and amorphous that this could happen if everything falls apart. This could happen if I fail. I want you to write down everything that you think could happen if you fail. What is the worst case scenario? If you take action and it goes completely downhill, nothing works out exactly the way you wanted it to, what does that look like for you? Is it that if your business fails, you're going to lose money, you're going to lose respect, you're going to have to start again? By making your vague, amorphous fear of action more solid and tangible, you are able to remove that fear of the unknown because you know exactly what failure would look like. So once you understand what your failure could look like, you're able to better prepare for that possibility, for that outcome. After you picture this worst case scenario, ask yourself, if this did happen, would I survive it? Would I survive this idea not falling into place, this project not working out, this desire just not working out the way I want it to? Would I survive it? Would I survive the consequences? Will I find a way to get out of this negative outcome? And this is why you have to become really self-aware, because our mind has this way of inflating a problem into more than it is. So you need to understand, can this actually happen? Is this scenario actually really that bad? Or have I just inflated it into becoming bigger than it actually is? Also, you need to be very smart with your desires, because sometimes if it's a goal with a significant amount of risk, you need to be smart with it. You need to assess whether it's worth trying out. And if it is, you can find ways of mitigating that risk, gaining knowledge, mental safety net, going back through that. This is especially important if you have dependents, because we're not trying to be reckless here. We're not trying to make stupid mistakes. No, we are here to live in alignment intelligently. And so if it's a big goal with a big risk factor, you can section up your goal into smaller, more manageable bits so that you can have these tiny steps that you can take every single day towards your goal. Because again, the goal is to live in alignment. And even those tiny steps that you make every day is you living in alignment. And so with the big goals, break it down, simplify it, make it as easy as possible, as safe as you need it to be, but take action. Step number 4, extrapolate your current reality. So let's assume that you don't take action and everything stays exactly the way it is. I want you to extrapolate your life. How would your life look like 10 years down the line? What would your situation be if you made the same decisions every single day and you didn't take action on this desire, on this idea, on this project? Will you be stuck in a job that you don't like, a relationship that you don't like? Will you be in a financial situation that you don't want to be in because you know that there's so much more for you? Will you feel inhibited? Will you feel drained? Will you feel abused? Will you feel stuck? Will you feel depressed, caged, unfulfilled, bitter, remorseful, angry, abandoned, alone, wasted? See whether your inaction is worth it. Because there is no wrong answer to this. You do not have to take action if you don't want to. If you think that your life will be perfectly fine if you don't take action on this desire, on this soul desire, if you feel like you're going to be perfectly fine, then don't do it. You really don't have to. But if you know you're going to be filled with regret, if you're going to feel like 10 years from now, I'm going to wish I started today, I'm going to wish I started earlier, I will be wishing that I took action when my health was better. See whether the cost of your inaction is lighter or heavier than the price of your action. Step number 5, use those polarities as propulsion. If you think that the extrapolation of your current reality is worse than you taking action and failing, that is such a good negative propulsion. And so to motivate you to take action, you go back to that dream vision of everything going right, the best case scenario, and you sit in that, you dwell in that, you feel those emotions, the gratitude, the abundance, the happiness, the joy, the fulfillment that courses through your body. You sit in that and you let your excitement to act push you into action. And when you find that your doubts and your fears are creeping back in, your limitations, your anxieties coming back in to pull you back into your current reality, remind yourself, if I don't take action, what will my life look like? Use that extrapolation to propel you forward because you are running away from your current situation. If you're battling fear, anxiety, doubt, let your fear of living in the mundane, of living in misalignment, of being ruled by fear, doubt, insecurity, anxiety, indecision be so much stronger than your fear of failure if you take action. And so when you use these two polarities, they will be able to propel you forward so that your positive, loving, abundant vision is drawing you towards it, while your negative current reality extrapolation is pushing you away from it. And with these two working in your favor, you will find yourself taking action. Step number 6, keep your eyes on the vision. A lot of the times when we are about to take action, we have this tendency to look at everything that could go wrong. You keep your eyes focused on that worst case scenario instead of focusing on the best case scenario. And that's a dangerous thing because where you put your attention is where you put your energy. And so if you constantly worry about what could go wrong, you will unconsciously find yourself steering towards that negative scenario. It's kind of like when you're learning how to drive and you want to avoid hitting the curb, the pavement. When you focus your attention on avoiding hitting the pavement, because your attention is on the pavement, you find yourself driving towards it. However, if you want to avoid the pavement, you need to keep your eyes on the road. You need to keep your eyes straight ahead. And so by focusing straight ahead, the car will realign itself to your vision, to your attention, and you will find yourself running smoothly in the center of the road. And you will reach your destination and realize, I didn't even hit the pavement. You are good because your attention directs where your life is going to head. So keep your eyes on that positive vision of where you want to be. The only reason we looked at the negative scenario, the worst case scenario, is so that you can be familiar with what it looks like. You get clear on what that scenario could look like for you. And by gaining knowledge on it, you're able to now mitigate it. You're able to now avoid it. So keep your eyes on that vision. Keep your attention on exactly what you want, not what you don't want. Don't focus on the fall. Don't focus on what could go wrong. Don't focus on the worst case scenario. Focus on everything that could go right. Focus on where you want to be. Focus on the ideal that you're bringing into life by you taking action every single day. Because if you give your attention to your fears, they will become more real than the positive reality. So stop focusing on what you don't want to happen and focus on what you want to happen. You choose what happens to you. You choose the reality you get to experience. And so if you have a choice in this, if you are the deciding factor, choose the side where you come out on top and not the one that you fail. And finally, step number 7, commit to continuous learning, because this is a new thing that you're trying out. It's new, you don't know anything about it, or you're not an expert at it. Expect that you're going to have to learn a lot along the way, and you need to embrace that. You need to adopt a growth mindset. And so as you start this new thing, this new venture, this new idea of yours, understand that you're going to hit some bumps, some obstacles. You're going to need to learn a lot. You're going to have to broaden your horizon. It's going to be scary. It's going to be uncomfortable. But that's how you know that you've gone beyond the limits of your current self and are stepping into your higher self. The best thing you can do here is to just keep a log of everything. Keep a log of everything that's blocking you, inhibiting you, all the obstacles that you're facing along the way. One day, you're going to look over your notes and you're going to smile because you're going to look at all the obstacles you faced and you overcame. You'll see how the list of things that you needed to work on has gradually gotten smaller, and that the huge mountains that have been in front of you in your path have now become anthills. And that log will be a sign of your growth. It will be a sign that you have learned along the way, that you have become a stronger, more intelligent person, a more confident person, and that in spite of all the obstacles that you faced, all the doubts that you might have had, you still took action and you learned from your mistakes, you learned from your failures, you learned from your stumbling points, and you still pursued your goals. And that is something to be completely proud of. And as you go along your journey, continue to believe in yourself, believe in your capabilities, because all of the obstacles that you're facing on your journey, you faced them all before. They're just coming in different forms. So believe in yourself, believe in your capability. If you need to do so, remind yourself of everything that you have overcome in your life, all the times you felt new and unprepared and awkward at something. It could have been maybe your first day of school, your first job interview, your first job, your first date, the first time trying a new skill. You felt so much trepidation in some of these. You felt resistance towards these. You felt unprepared to do them, but you did it. And as you went along, you gained the expertise. You became more acquainted with it and you grew. You tried and you tested and you learned and you failed and you tried again and you grew and you overcame. You've done it all before. You can do it again. You just need to believe in yourself. Allow yourself to take these first steps and let this new chapter of your life begin. And so I hope that you found value in the things that I've told you. I hope you've taken notes, and I hope that you actually take action in that desire, in that idea, that project, that resolution, that goal of yours. I hope you finally do take action because the world is ready to receive what you're willing to create. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.